Yeah.
that.
gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you on a Forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down. Cut the fix up with some Xbox babies, put the switch up. See me gearing up for war, don't get it mixed up. I come in peace, kid. I'm bringing commentary and the new releases. I put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't get scared now. I'ma destroy you on a Forza, I can tear down.
If you ever want to, I can show you how I.
Just switch to. Oh wait. Did my goofy butt? I did. Hey, hold on a second.
You do.
We're live, y'all.
What's going on?
There we go.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to The Fix, everybody. It's me, Infinite Umbra. I'm joined here by my co-host, Daniel McGee, and we have the excellent, most intelligent, supremely knowledgeable, Steam Deck pushing, jet flying, limousine driving. Okay, that's enough. We got the excellent Kay Asante here with us tonight. Hey.
What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing out there? I hope people can hear us. Let's get that out the way real quick. People can hear us.
Yeah, let's double check that with the chat real fast.
Microphone check.
Right.
If y'all can hear us, let us know.
Yeah, give
us
us
some thumbs up if you got us.
Yeah, if you all are hearing us, let us know. And if you're not, well, if it's Bushido, I don't trust him. So I need everybody else to make sure that they say that they hear us, because he might try to throw us off. And yeah, I just
brothers, I am so appreciative of being invited on. You know, I appreciate. The show just started episode 2, and I'm already a fan. I love the theme song. I gotta keep it bumping. I'm happy to be here, man. Thank you.
I really appreciate it,
brother.
We knew we had to have you on at some point.
Absolutely. Why not
Mr.
now?
Bushido, Rolex wearing? Nah, homie.
Yeah, man. So it's been somewhat of an interesting week. It's not been a lot as far as a ton of gaming news, I noticed, but today we've heard a few things that popped up that we will kind of quickly go over. So again, just so you all know, the aim of this show is 2 things specifically. One is not going to hold you for a long time. It's the thing is, we have so many other content creators and brothers in this thing we do here that are live actually right now. So we understand that you all want to support everybody, and so the thing is, we're not trying to hold you too long, and we're not trying to step on anybody else's toes either, right? So we want to kind of get in and get out, have a good time, and in the meantime with it. So it's going to be like an hour to an hour and a half at most that we discuss. And today's topics are what, Dave?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the unfortunate trend of games skipping Xbox for all sorts of different unacceptable reasons. We've got some good, bad, and ugly coming out of PlayStation this week. We're going to talk about the Mandalorian season that just wrapped up, and then at the end, we're going to tell everybody our highlights for the spring 2023 anime season.
Nice, very nice. Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah, so we got a few quick things to go over. The main thing.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm being rude. Before we get started, Umbra, did you have a week?
I had a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a week. I had a month. No, but yeah, man, it was again, it's a lot of things going on in the background, so it's just, I don't want to speak on them too much, but yeah, not the greatest of weeks, unfortunately. I had a lot of things going on just personally. Excuse the background again. I am in Chicago, y'all. You know what that comes with. I think I spoke about Unreal Engine too much. They after me, so. But I think
I gotta drop off that check.
Kay called him off. He's like, "Hey, let him go this time." But yeah. So it's been an interesting week as far as things go. I have been playing a few things. I didn't get a chance yet though to touch Ghostwire Tokyo. Okay, I saw you were playing that though. I saw.
It's growing on me, man.
Yeah.
Like initially I start with it. I like the look of it. It's decent. And then as you go, well, first off, like I said last time, like they put their worst foot forward. It defaults to quality mode, and it runs like sluggishly. But you change it to performance. You know, it's beautiful. Like I have gotten the I've run the gamut on this game, so I've played it like on my PC. I have a 3080 right now. I'm actually looking to build a new machine soon, but I have a pretty decent rig as it is, so it shows it off very well. And then I also I happened to get a good deal on the old Logitech G Cloud, so I've been playing it there via xCloud streaming, right? Which you'd think would be the worst representation because xCloud uses the Series S build of a game, so it's like the lowest possible tier for Xbox. Yeah. But even there, like screen size, latency is not an issue. I'm finding myself playing it on the G Cloud more than anywhere else. It's really good. Like the moment-to-moment combat grabs you. You know, there's like slowness in gearing up for whatever move you're trying to make, all the while avoiding the crazy baddies that are coming after you. So there's some tension there when you're doing it, and when you really figure it out, you're just walking through the city of Tokyo, just like housing fools. It's really, really cool.
That's pretty
and it's
dope.
a little spooky. You know, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, I love the Japanese culture. Like, so a lot of the screenshots I've seen in gameplay videos, whatever I've seen of it, definitely harken into like a lot of their lore. I know like the lady with the hat
for sure,
stuff like that. So I've seen that, so that's interesting. I do want to get into it. I probably will play some after the podcast.
Yokai inspiration going on in those monster designs. Absolutely. For sure.
So what about you, Danny? How's your week been? What you been up to, bro?
You know, it's been mostly just binging through the 2 most recent seasons of My Hero Academia, and that show is so good. It's so good.
It is.
I fell off it a while ago just because I got caught up to it at the end of season 4, and I think season 7 is going to be the last one, so I had to get through season 5, 6, and then I watched the third movie, which was unfortunately I think the weakest part of my binge here. But that show's just so impressive to me. The way that they really make you care about just every single character in that entire show is insane, right? Like, not only do you sort of fall in love with everyone from class 1A, the class that the main characters are in, with the exception of maybe like, I don't know, the invisible girl or the guy who shoots the belly button laser. I think those 2 are probably the weakest ones, but they make you care about
him. I cannot stand that character. I forgot his name. He doesn't
really do much, unfortunately, which is maybe part of
He's
why.
a gag character, right? Basically.
Yeah.
But then even when he uses his powers, he's like debilitated from it because he'll hurt his, like his stomach will hurt or something. It's like, get out of here, weak.
Yeah. I know he has a bigger part coming up in the manga that I got spoiled on.
Oh, they spoiled it for you?
No, I did get spoiled on it, which is unfortunate, but it's fine. I don't really. We'll see. But they also, they do a really good job of characterizing like all of the pro heroes. Like Aizawa's my boy, Eraserhead.
Yeah.
I can't live without him. He's my favorite character.
I like Eraserhead.
Yeah, and even like the villains. Like in season 6, they do such a great job of building up like Toga and Twice and just like all of like just the entire League of Villains this is for sure in like my top 10 anime at this point. And from everything I've been hearing from the manga, I think the last season is going to be even better. So I'm here. I'm in for it.
Nice. That's reminiscent of All Might. I am here. Ha ha.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry, audience. So we'll move into our first topic here. And by the way, did you see on screen right now? That's the Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. This is my first time playing it, man. I actually really, really like it. Don't ask me why I never played this game. I really can't answer it for you. But the top-notch action, I believe, from Platinum shines through. Look at me chopping them up. Yeah. Anyway, so first topic of the day is why has so many third-party games been skipping Xbox? And it's not just something of regular like marketing deals. These things we understand. So something like a Forspoken, it's not a question to us. But then you have other games that have fled out for no seeming understandable reason, either skipped Xbox or, I don't want to even say that's the only really reason, because other people have to ask them after the fact, like, hey, what about Xbox?
Sure.
It's a continuing trend, and I mean, we had it from Final Fantasy VII Remake, which of course we can imagine that Sony came in and was like, "Yo, here's a little more change for you. Keep that off Xbox." But then we had things like that don't make any sense. Capcom with the Mega Man Network collection. Why in the world would that skip Xbox? Then you have, of course, Octopath Traveler 2, which makes zero sense. I mean, they made zero sense with that from the first one to the second one.
Yeah, that one makes, I think, the least sense. Because not only is, we have a situation where the first one was on Xbox and was in Game Pass, and it did come late, but still it was on Xbox, and the second one's not there. But also, to my understanding, and I haven't double checked this, apparently the first Octopath Traveler is not on PlayStation.
It's not. Yeah.
But they're like, you don't need to play the first one to care about the second one. It's like, then don't call it 2. Like, like.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make sense to you guys. That makes perfect sense to me.
I want to get to you on that. I want to get your answer on that, but I want to name a few other games that just
yeah.
And if you all can think of any, please throw them out there. And even in the chat, if you all can think of any, because the ones that really stumped me are Octopath Traveler 2. That actually upset me, because I love the first one. I put in over 250 hours into it. You had Oxenfree 2 now, of course, we came to find out. Now, that's Netflix. Now, that made many people laugh because you saw PlayStation, Nintendo, and Netflix, but no Xbox. It was like, what? Even Netflix will get it before Xbox? But Netflix owns that studio, as we've,
Yes.
So, and Netflix, it looks like they're trying to get serious, as we've seen, because now Joseph Staten has gone over there too. They dropped off a bag to him, everybody. So, I get it. They're getting more serious, but I still don't quite understand why they would avoid Xbox. I know Netflix and Microsoft have a decent business, work relationship, so I don't quite get it. But I feel like since they're streaming and Microsoft is going to have their streaming, it could collide, and they don't want to have that issue, I suppose. Then you have a few other things like the Final Fantasies pixel remasters, which was 1 through 6, that just not even appearing on Xbox. Now, Square has been a problem for a long time with this. I don't understand.
Square doesn't even surprise me at this point.
It doesn't surprise me. It's more disappointing.
Every time a Square game comes out, for sure. Every time a Square game is announced, it's a dice roll of where it's going to show up. Because honestly, it's not even. It's like, is this one going to be on Nintendo? Is this one going to be on PC? Like, you can pretty much assume it's going to be on PlayStation for the most part. But it's just like, I don't know what their business practice is. And you know what? I don't actually think that they really know what it is at this point. I don't think they do either.
Because they had the whole thing, as you all know, like where, we're loving the sales here, for instance, with these games here, the Japanese focused games, right? And then it was always some point of contention with their Western division where it didn't meet expectations. That was very weird to me. The Tomb Raider never met expectations. The DSX, like all these things never met their expectations. And then they sold it all for, as we know, $300 million, which was like a steal for Embracer, which upset me again because I'm like, damn it, Microsoft with this ABK deal, you could have gotten that. But anyway, moving on. I want to get your thoughts on that, Kay. You said this is not weird to you right here with Octopath. Why is that?
Well, specifically Octopath makes perfect sense to me. Perfect sense to me.
Why so?
And I'll tell you like the at least in my estimation why I think all of them are the way they are, but specifically with Octopath, because when it first came to Xbox, everyone was stunned. They were convinced that game was going to be stuck on Nintendo, on the Abacus, as we know it, right? And the fact that it came to Xbox and it made a huge splash, it really changed hearts and minds. A lot of people played it on Xbox, right? That's the reason why it didn't come the second time, because out of all the platforms, there is one with a vested interest to keep it off of Xbox. Come on now.
That's true.
So the second one, it's like, oh, it's a game that people care about. Well, here's the bag, so it doesn't go there.
So
literally, that's what that is.
So then you're saying that it was something to garner interest, and then after the fact, Sony stepped in and said, "Well, here you go. Don't put that over."
Yes, 100%.
Because are you implying that Sony?
There's no implication. There was no implication. I'm speaking it flat. I'm laying it flat right now.
No tinfoil headery, just flat out.
I had to
just
steal
flat
that
out.
from my man Cog.
Indeed. No, because think about it, right? All the ones that catch fire, right? All the ones that you know will catch fire never make it to Xbox. They just don't. And we all
Unfortunate, but
know
it's
why,
true.
right?
Especially
Octopath,
remakes. PlayStation
yes.
has this real trend of buying up all the marketing rights and usual exclusivity for, like, I think the Silent Hill 2 remake is gonna do that. There's rumors that the Metal Gear one is probably gonna be like that. KOTOR, although that one's got its own problems. So
Octopath specifically seemed like it was under the radar, right? Oh, Nintendo has that. Nintendo does what Nintendo will do. No one paid attention. And then it seemed like someone made a deal for Xbox, and Sony eyeballs were like, what? Because it really actually mattered to the people. So before the second one comes out, let's just go through that bag and make sure that doesn't happen again. Right? And you know that's what happened, because then part 2 came on PlayStation and not the first one, right? It's like, we'll give them the first one. Yes, we'll give them the first one later, but make sure the second one doesn't get there. But by and large, I see 3 specific reasons why you don't get Xbox games on Xbox.
Why is that?
Reason 1, which is the main reason, Money Hat Studios, as you put it, Mr. Infinite Umbra.
Exactly.
That's reason 1. Right, to the point where there's a lot of moving and shaking about if Sony ever like releases the books, that might be a problem. There is a lot of stringent Money Hat Studios going on there for the ones that you care about, right? Reason 2, because of reason 1, there's this notion among the gaming public as well as developer circles that, hey, it's not worth it for us. It's not. Right? Yeah. Because they don't play it there anyway. They won't expect it there anyway. And oh, by the way, because let's be absolutely clear. This is the same thing that, and I know I'm going to rile some people up. This is the same thing that happened with Redfall, right? When you start the game developed as a third party, when you start, because that's the most important thing. You can't go back and clean it up later. You start with one decision. Is it multi-plat? Meaning, will I support all these various platforms, or is it first party, right? If you start as a multi-plat developed studio, you must then look at where most of your audience is. And say what you will, most of the audience is on PlayStation.
You'll notice, of course, that...
Hold on one second. So you're saying that because of that, they use PlayStation as the leading platform.
That's right. And if you use PlayStation as a leading platform, all the tools that are brought to bear to make Xbox shine are not the same. Like the 30 series cards of NVIDIA for PCs have the same, mesh shaders and all these other various tools that are built into Xbox, right? Xbox was smart in that. They built it so that when you're building a PC, it's almost turnkey to make an Xbox game, right? By and large, you use Visual Studios or whatever other other building tools you use, but by and large, it's built on Windows. And they made sure their tools make it like click, oh yeah, now it's also an Xbox game. Now, obviously, after you're done, you're profiling for it and all of that to make sure that it works perfectly on Xbox. But it's not let's take a separate team and go make it an Xbox version. No, you're making the PC version that tends to be an Xbox version, right? But if your leading platform is PlayStation, you're using the PlayStation dev tools. You're using the PlayStation process. And that is not the same as the Xbox process. So in order to make an Xbox version, you need to go and actually, have a team that will then go use that. And by and large, unless Microsoft is knocking down your door saying, here's the bag, it's not worth your dollars and cents. It isn't, especially if it's a Japanese focused game or something like that, right? A JRPG, that the narrative is already out there that they don't play those games, even though that's not true. But if you don't seed the ground, right? If you don't have many other games there in that space, developers, it's not in their best interest to take that risk, right? So that's reason 2. They're not convinced. It's not worth their time. And reason 3, which deserves a bit of smoke, Microsoft is not in the business of convincing anyone.
Now,
they do that
do you
from
mean
time
by
to
that?
time.
What do you mean by that?
So, by that I mean when the idea is, we want more of these games here, right? We want the personas, we want all these. So what do? They're out there negotiating. They're there throwing bags around. And eventually some of them catch fire and then you get all these games on your platform. Yay. Do you think Sony has to do that? No, they are the de facto platform. So you just sit there as Sony and the games come to you, right? Microsoft has to make an effort, go out there and get them, right? Which means they have to throw constant bags, which is not the same as Sony does. Sony just comes and collects their 30%, right?
Yeah.
True.
And Microsoft can't be out there throwing a bag at every Tom, Dick, and Harry for a game. They're also expecting that at some point you see their platform as a useful platform and you bring your game. So when they don't, that calculus of part 2 comes in, which is like, it's not worth our time.
And even if they did try to throw that bag, it would have to be a bigger bag because they represent so much smaller of the industry.
And you know what? The dirty little secret for those who've played what do you call it? God of War Ragnarok. You've seen how Odin likes to move, right? He's nice, baby, but in the background, he's a mob boss.
Spoiler. Thanks for spoiling it.
My bad. No. Come on now. The first time you meet the man, you see him. He's
oh
nice,
yeah, if Odin being a bad guy is a spoiler for you, and
get out of here. The guy walks around with an eye patch. What are we doing?
I mean, wait a minute. You saying people with one eye are automatically evil?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
See, y'all see this discrimination Kay is putting out there.
But the point is, if you ruffle the feathers of the market leader, you may not be able to get on their platform anymore. And you as a third party, that's a risk, right? Yeah. No matter how much you like the Xbox, it may not be advantageous or in your best interest to do that, because now maybe they don't like you no more. If you're a big third party, you don't have to worry about that, right? Because you're a big third party that needs to be there. But if you're like an upstart, starting, you're starting out, you have this wonderful game that you may want to promote or whatever, and Sony's like, nah, homie, you can't do that. Yeah, you pay fealty. So once again, it doesn't come, right? All of this like adds to the soup of why you more often than not don't get Xbox games, right? And they're changing that slowly, the perception of it. They're changing that, right? The ideal scenario for them is one day to sit back, just like Sony does, and the games come because they have to come because, oh, by the way, we have a huge audience that you're missing out on if you don't bring it here, right? But until that perception, until the dam breaks, specifically with certain types of games, it's people from Microsoft beating the street, handing out bags and going, please bring it here. How many bags can you give out while the other guy's just sitting there relaxing, collecting the check? You know what I'm saying?
I'll address that, but Danny, I think you had a point or something you wanted to address.
No, yeah, I mean, so earlier you were talking about how with like the Redfall situation, how everyone was upset about that becoming an Xbox exclusive because of course they bought the studio. And I was going to point out how, of course, you'll notice that people were really upset about it at the time that dropped, but then as soon as the 30 frames thing came out, they're like, no, that's an Xbox game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They're like, no, that one's yours.
You know what? The funny thing about that is the 30 frames per second is because PlayStation held them back. Literally.
Really?
It started as a PlayStation game, right? Well, and I say that and people get ruffled. It started as a third party. And if you are third party, guess what? Your focus is where most of the people are.
PlayStation, yeah.
Exactly. So there's no way you'll start the game using mesh shaders, which bring down the resource overhead. There's no way you'll start with that. Why? Because if you start with that, it's not working on PlayStation. So PlayStation held it back.
Yeah, and the thing is, and we've spoken on this on other podcasts and such, and this is why even when I was on your podcast, Kay, which by the way, if you all are not subscribed to Kay Asante, then get out. No,
Gaming Circle podcast, baby.
Yeah, support this brother. Him and Everborn run a great podcast on Saturdays. Just to say, okay, by the way, make sure you type something in the chat so I can mod you up. I feel like I owe you that same respect. And no worries, I want to throw this out there too. Kay, by the way, was the first podcast I actually did on YouTube, guys. So I have to give this brother love just for reaching out because
I heard his voice.
Yeah,
I did. I hadn't gotten to the full breadth of his Unreal Engine love yet. But I was like, this man deserves to be on a podcast, bro. He has that voice. He has that charisma. No, I appreciate it, and I love to see you shine, brother. Every time. It's great.
Appreciate you, brother. But so my thing is, and like I said, we've spoken on that, and that's why we came to the thought of, well, Microsoft was going to have to get the tools of tooling, because it's not going to be third party that does it. It's not going to be anybody else but Microsoft that has to push that. And these things being the PlayStation being a lead platform, that's going to prohibit a lot of that. So, that I think that goes to that. By the way, I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you all for being here. I do see you. I'm trying not to mess anything up, so I'm not trying to type too much. So, but much love to KY Bob, much love to Truly, much love to Gray Monad, our other mod. I guess I'll say this. Oh, Silent. Let me name everybody but this person. Silent Cypher.
Oh, stop it.
You know who he's dodging.
Far Q. Let me see who else I can dodge this person to.
And by the way,
Inferno.
Silent Cypher will be a guest on the GCP this weekend. So
Nice. Very nice. Silent Cypher tries to challenge me in a deep voice off. You know, we had a deep voice off a few times. And you see how it got deeper like that, Silent Cypher?
Deep voice off. Yeah, all right. You do that, bro.
Now, like, see, he might have the natural inner world voice, but see, I got the sexier, melanated
Here we go.
deep
Here
voice.
we go.
I just had to flaunt that for him because he tries to challenge me sometimes, you know. Shout out to Steph. Shout out to Talos Ray. Mac, what's up, brother? Timmy, I see you out there. I knew you were stalking me. And I guess I said KY Bob already, right? Yeah. I guess I'll say it.
Stop it.
Bushido. Hey. Anyway. I feel depressed after saying I don't know. It's just depressed me. But no, yeah, and that leads us really though. Like we know that it's a Microsoft thing where they have to push this because PlayStation is not going to have these games using all these mesh shaders and FSR2 and all these other things and DLSR and SSR and USSR. No, let me stop. So they're not going to have
USSR. That's a different thing.
See, that's why I give Microsoft smoke for that, right?
Yeah.
You are not expecting others to tell your narrative for you, right? I expect to see you bring out a game that blows people's wigs back and go, oh, by the way, that was Series S footage you just saw, right? Because once you do that, then you're convincing the public that, oh, all the raggedy versions we're seeing are the fault of the people who choose not to use the tools. Until you do that, everyone has every ability to say whatever narrative they want. You know, the tech guys like me can go, hey, man, this thing can punch above its weight. You don't know. But no one shows you that, including the people that made the device. So, yeah. That smoke is all on them at this point.
Well, between that and the game skipping over Xbox, I think both are sort of being solved in maybe the most just like blunt weapon way possible, which is they're just buying up so many studios that it's like, well, if you want to skip us, then that's fine. We'll just have 30-40 studios making content for us by ourselves. It's the Disney model.
That is the cure for Money Hat Studios. Right?
That is a great point that you made, Danny. It kind of transitions me into this other talk point, I guess. And I saw Jez actually make a tweet on that, and I shared it out too. And he said, "This right here, them doing things like this, where all of these games are just skipping Xbox. This is why people shouldn't be so surprised with Microsoft buying up all these studios. And this is why, by the way, besides me just being a greedy gamer, why I'm a big proponent of Microsoft doing just that. I mean, I'm going to win in the end anyway as a consumer of Game Pass. So, but this right here is part of that because Sony has been money heading for the longest time. Money has studios, as I've said, and now that Microsoft is fighting back in their own way, people don't like it. Well, too bad. You know, so this right here is a reason why that continues to happen, and it's why I almost want to be really petty and hope that Microsoft outright buys Square Enix just to be petty.
I don't, but only because I hate Square.
Just to black out the other eye, huh?
Yeah, black out the other eye. Have all of the RPGs locked down. We got to get Larian after that. That's what we need to get, Larian. But yeah, I don't know. It's annoying to me, and like I said, Octopath Traveler 2 was the biggest one for me because I love the first one, and when I saw this, I'm like, how does this make any logical sense? That because they praised it, they praised Octopath Traveler being on Game Pass and how it reached so many people in the sales and
come
things like
on.
That.
Put the puzzle pieces together. Infinite Umbra and the rest of them were out there going, yo, this is amazing. How could this happen? It's an amazing game. I'll put 100 hours in it. Sony's eyeballs were like, huh? Okay, then. Let's get the bag out. Like, what's good?
Yeah. Square Enix is in a position where they have to go wherever the biggest bag is.
That's right.
It's just annoying to me. And then you got other games too, like the Stellar Blade. I mean, it could go, or as Bam calls it, Stellar Yams.
Indeed.
Yeah, we all know why people are looking at that game.
Oh yeah.
It's not the gameplay.
The action gameplay.
Yeah. Oh, I read it for the articles.
Exactly.
Oh, stop it. I feel like I'm 12 years old right now.
Yeah, man. I don't know. You know, a buddy of mine, he calls himself Mortivore. It's a terrible, terrible name. I've told him many times, but we just call him Casual. He even posted something. I forgot what it was, what game it was. It was, and this is the thing too. It's like sometimes it's like nothing games, right? It's like nobody little indie games. But I like indie games too. But I'm saying it to say sometimes it's not even the most monumental of games. But when you see that it's just skipping out on the platform and every other game is skipping out on the platform, it gets annoying to see that continuously. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Look at Ember Studios. Is it Ember or Ember
Labs.
Ember Labs. Yeah.
You're talking about the Kina guys?
Exactly, the Kina guys, right? First and foremost, they'll miss Xbox because they're a small studio. They can only afford to do so much. And remember, although they're both x86 processors, they use different processes for development. So it's not like you build once and it works both places. You got to port to Xbox if you're building a PlayStation-focused game, right? And not every studio can do that. So who do I hit first? Put yourself in the position of a first out studio trying to make the biggest bang for their buck. PC, because that's where everybody is, and console, you go PlayStation, because that's where all the biggest install base is, right? And then of course with Ember Labs, the game is great, the game is good, and then Sony will go, oh well, here's the bag to keep it here.
Yeah.
Right? It makes sense.
Yeah, man.
It really does. It sucks, but the context is there. It makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and PlayStation is doing it presumably because, I mean, they are buying studios, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but obviously much smaller studios. But the reason that they're doing so much of this money hatting is because they can't afford to buy the studios. I'm sure, like, if PlayStation could go and buy Take-Two tomorrow, you don't think they would? Well, of course they would. That's business.
No, I do agree with that. But I guess that would lead me, or at least, that would lead me to another question to you guys then. And you guys in the chat, please give your thoughts too. Is outside of Microsoft outright acquiring these studios, which they can't just buy everybody, right?
Yeah, no, of course not.
What's the solution? Because we have to come to a solution for this. And to me, I do get your point earlier, Kay, where you said they can't go to everybody and be like, oh yeah, here's another bag. Because we even have an instance on Twitter right now where, you know, Microsoft flat out was like, nope, we're not paying that $42,000 a month to have the API shared through, you know, for the pass through of your game clips and such. And that makes sense. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I know Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company, but I'm not paying that either. That's ridiculous to pay that a month. Yeah, come on. And people are like, well, Nintendo did it. Well,
Nintendo makes a lot more money in the gaming space.
It's not even just that for me. It's just like, it's a ridiculous ask. But my thing is, so I do get that, but what would you all say will be the solution for the short term, at least for, I would say, the more major releases, right? I don't think they can get everything, but something like a Final Fantasy 16 should not be skipping the platform. Something like that's
definitely a tricky question though, because I feel like in this case, a lot of the bigger games, like, you know, your Final Fantasy remakes, whatever, a lot of those ones, the reason that they're skipping the platform is because they're being money hatted, is they're being bought up first. So the solution would be, I guess, hand over a bigger bag, but you're not going to be able to do that for every game, you know what I mean? And I don't know necessarily if they're going to be able to even do like, here's a smaller bag just to not have it be exclusive, just to like, because I don't see them handing over a bunch of money just for it to be on the platform. Like, if you're going to go that far, then you're going to want like marketing rights, you're going to want it to be exclusive. So the bigger games, I think that's just going to be a matter of like, in order for that to be the case, they're going to have to start like really cutting into PlayStation's dominance on the games industry. They're going to have to really claw back a lot of the market share, so that they can get the amount that they have to pay for these sort of situations down, because it just doesn't really make sense for them to do it otherwise. The other thing I would say, because a lot of the games that end up skipping Xbox are games that are coming out of regions that they don't really have a foothold whatsoever, namely Japan, right? And the reason for that, I think at least, is because in those regions, you know, the developers go down to the store and they don't see an Xbox. They don't see Xbox games. They don't see any of that stuff. And so they really need to do and they already know that this is a problem for them, is they need to really reach out to these different regions and sort of get more of a foothold there. They need to exist more and be something that people really think about when they think about gaming, instead of just like, oh, and then there's that American guy, right? And that's going to take time, and it's going to be hard to do, short of like buying up a Sega or something, not to summon Everborn, but like short of buying up a Sega or something, it's going to take a long time. No, sorry, don't Beetlejuice him.
Nice, thanks for the subscription.
It's gonna take a lot of work for them to get that sorted out, because really for me, I think that those are the big three reasons why games skip, is either because they get bought up by somebody else, the people who are making it don't think of Xbox as a worthwhile place to put it, or because the people who are making it view Xbox as competition, right? Like, I think that's the situation with Netflix, like with Oxenfree specifically, is they view Game Pass as a rival subscription service to Netflix. So they're like, well, we don't want to help them out at all. So I would say, honestly, the biggest thing that they need to do is just be more present in the regions where these games are coming out from. And the biggest one of those is Japan.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with you, sir. I do not. Actually, to your point real quick, no localization. That has been smoke that has been given to them for years. They're dipping their toes in the water now, but still, it's not where it needs to be, right? If you want people to see your sympathy, you have to help yourself, and they don't help themselves, right? Yeah. They to your question, Umbra, how do they fix it in the short term? It's not the bag. It's first off proving that they are as worthwhile of a place to be as Sony's is. Right? And they take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. 2 steps forward, that's what they do, right? Yeah. So, you can't help third parties, but you are in 100% control of first parties. So if you release a game, because right now, you're seeing a bunch of clips coming out from games like Forbidden Shores, the Burning Shores Yeah, and some people call that game, what do they call it? Gaming NyQuil. I love it myself, but some people call it Gaming NyQuil. But one thing you won't deny is, like, gorgeous. Watch some of those clips. I saw Shinobi posting a few clips and whatnot. People are like, yo, you gonna make me buy a PS5 for this. They are gorgeous with a capital G. Like, they are amazing, right? So it makes that place seem like the premier place to be. When you're making decisions saying, the game it'll look good eventually, right? You're not helping yourself. You don't have what is considered, and I say this as a gray beard, and I'm about to throw up in my mouth a little bit. You don't have any bangers. No bangers.
I hate saying it too.
I hate
I'm
that.
Sick of that word myself.
You have the proponent of Unreal Engine 5 here.
Yeah.
Where is Coalition and their magic? I need to see it. Right?
I'm hoping that we see that in June. I'm hoping so much.
And I keep saying it. The reference design should be the Series S, which is technically the floor for your platform. Show us something that will blow people's wig back and say, oh, by the way, that's Series S. Right? Yeah. More than most. If you're able to do that, you'll convince gamers to pay closer attention. And convincing gamers to pay closer attention convinces devs to pay more attention. That's just how it goes.
And I agree with you there. This is why I often push Unreal Engine. I'm like, listen, I believe I even argued that on a podcast where I said Microsoft is going to have to start showing some stunners. I mean, I know we have a few. We got the Forzas, you got the flight sims that look like real life.
See, but the problem though with Unreal Engine 5 is also that the development platform that Xbox uses has tools that are not features in Unreal Engine 5 right now, right? Yeah. So while Unreal Engine 5 has nanite and does all these great things with ray tracing, it doesn't use the hardware ray tracing that's built into the Xbox. So once again, it will shine brighter on PlayStation 5, which uses everything in a standard resource pool rather than offloading the ray tracing, for instance, onto its separate ray trace cores, right? They build it in a strength way rather than a smart way. And Xbox thought, hey, if we build it smart, you'll just use it. No, show us why it's worthy. Right?
Yeah, and I guess it put the onus on those creators, and that's why first party has to step up. Like the thing too, you all mentioned with of the Coalition. I wanted the Coalition to. I know that Gears 6 and all of that, but that could have waited, in my opinion. I think a new IP that could have showcased the Unreal Engine very well with the Coalition could have helped push exactly what you're talking about.
They were doing that small project and it was canceled, which honestly,
which makes me
I love
sick.
me some Gears, you know.
Yeah.
But I would have been happy to get a AA game from the Coalition just as a means of learning Unreal, you know, Unreal 5 and putting it to its paces. Like, you know, and I say small. They could have fleshed out and given me a more complete Matrix experience when they did that demo. Like, you could have came out with something actually using it more than just the street, you know, give us a few more levels, something small, but just to show, hey, by the way, this is what it can do, kind of thing. Yeah, they were relegated to going back to the Gears well. We'll see how that turns out. I hope it's great.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just wish they would have waited and let them actually, because they did so for other studios, you know, let them go ahead and get that game out of them. I wish they would have done so for them. And I think the Coalition should not be hampered down by just one game. I think they're too talented for that.
100%.
But yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. You know, you have to showcase your platform in the best light. I mean, Microsoft does it in some ways. Like I said, Forza, you know, they have the flight sim, but those are kind of niche titles, right? You got to have something I think that's more encapsulating of the bigger audience, and I think PlayStation manages to do that better when it comes to that type of thing. You know, they hit out actioners, they hit out the action adventure games and stuff like that, and they have, you know, solid protagonists, to be fair.
And let's be clear here, a lot of what PlayStation does is snake oil, but it works.
It's true,
right? Oh, look at this Ratchet and Clank, can't be done anywhere else. Yes, it can. It can be done on PS4. It can be done. It totally can. Yeah.
I remember that line.
Like, you know, stuff like that.
The power of the SSD.
You know, the SSD will change your life. Yeah, okay. You know, it's ridiculous. Absolutely. But it gets a lot of people in. And when you see the product of what they make, you're like, yo, they do have it, right? But they're also the same studio that made like The Last of Us 2 on PS4 Jaguar Course. You may not like that game, but that game is revolutionary in its looks, even on the old PS4.
Yeah.
Right? So they're just selling you a bunch of marketing speak, and it works. Well, even on PC, it's fine right now. Yeah. It was fine like 12 hours after.
I was going to say it's like 24 hours they got it.
And they fix eyebrows.
I was going to say, people use that as a talking point, by the way. They're like, oh, what about this with,
really
they
funny.
did this. And I'm like, but they fixed it.
They fixed it like really short. This is not Cyberpunk. It runs perfectly now. Like, calm down, people.
Like, see, and that's one of the things I know we got it. I'm not going to get into it too much, but we have to get out of that. What about this? The whataboutism thing. You know, I have said it on the podcast. I think it was Xbox Infinite last week, and I was just like, it sounded like a kid thing to me. Like, well, that person did it too. It's like, no, we got to get out of that, man. And you know, that's where I would say we have to demand more from Microsoft in that regard. And I think they need to be held accountable to reach that potential. And I think they have that potential. And I want to see them get there. Absolutely. That's the biggest thing. And I know all of us do. As Xbox gamers, we want to see them get there. And that's why it's frustrating to me when I see games that should be on this platform avoid it or skip it. And all those reasons you pointed out, okay, absolutely makes sense. It's just in my head, it's like Sycamore pointed something out in the chat a while ago. He said, Square is a business. He says, if Microsoft cares enough about their Xbox gamers, then they should absolutely drop a bag on Sony. And I'm going to be real, I agree with him there. And that's just the long and short of it. I think Jazz even said something sick that was very close to what you said. And I got a brother on Twitter named Sixers Octavian. I'm sure a few of you all know him. Very big time JRPG proponent. And Port Beggar, proud of it, he says, right? And he points out, hey, Microsoft is going to have to step up. He's a physical gamer. I'm digital master race, so I don't care about physical. But I mean, it's a good point when you see even first-party Microsoft titles getting, you know, a case or a physical on PlayStation, but nothing on Xbox. To me, it just keeps adding to.
I mean,
that second
like physical versus digital. I'm sorry, but physical is delusional.
I agree.
That physical case will never be playable once they decide to turn them servers
I'm
off.
with you there.
Come on,
you don't have to sell me. I was going from like I think 10 days in off the Xbox One. I went all digital. But you got some who are collectors.
Yeah, that's me.
Like Danny is a collector. So I
want it on the shelf. I want to have it. I'm here for the collector's edition sometimes, you know.
He wants to.
Sometimes I'll play a game on Game Pass, and if I like it enough, I'll buy a physical version of it.
One day he's going to show it to his
I'm a big proponent of physical media. Yeah. I think if we go fully digital, then we're just.
I mean, give me a cool statue. I'm there. You know, give me a Chai statue. Give me a 808 statue. I'm there. But to tell me that this game is physical, until Nintendo moves away from cartridges, they're the last holdouts.
The last of the Mohicans, if you will.
They literally are, because none of your PlayStation games will be playable fully in its current form when they turn off them PlayStation servers. Unless you come and talk to me and we do a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Little R-Matey in the background.
No, it's not that. We call it social engineering.
That's the nice term for it.
We point the servers to someplace else, and they go, "Oh, so you do exist," and then you come back.
Listen. Y'all heard how he finessed the pirating thing into that? I like that, K.
No. See,
listen, I'm not here to
argue
argue with you,
sir.
I'm not here to argue with you.
No, hear me. Pirating is downloading a game off the internet that's bad. I'm not saying that. I'm saying getting your PlayStation to see your home server as a real server, and then it'll give you access to your games. That's a whole different conversation.
See our true colors shining through. I see. Yeah. No, I'm messing with you. I know how you do it. But and his is legal. I just want to point that out to guys. I'm joking because it's been a thing people have messed with him about on other podcasts.
Oh, don't worry. when you get that Unreal Engine bag, remember the rest.
I got you. I have to make a character in your honor with a Steam Deck in his hand and all.
Oh, here you go.
But shout out, I see you, Dirt. What's up, Dirt? And I see Bam. I see you joined in. Yeah. How do I say that cool? I want to say that cool. Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all.
That wasn't it.
That wasn't it. Yeah.
I know you were trying to say it cool. That wasn't it.
Yeah. It's not gonna work for me.
No,
that's a no for me, dog. But what up, Bam? What's up, Dirt? I was on Dirt's podcast earlier this week on Monday, and he actually had a podcast a while ago. He was going over some things. Dirt is funny as hell, man. Who am you, sucker?
You involved in that TTS talk. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he dragged me into it, But it's always hilarious hearing them and talking with them. So I appreciate this brother here. Yes, and like, when I laugh about Dirt, not to go too far off topic, because him and Sean and all the guys, they embrace fully. They say, no, I want an echo chamber.
Oh yeah.
They like, I want this.
There's a pony in here. Get him out of here.
Yeah, right.
Oh boy.
You are not welcome. What do you say? The devil is not welcome here. Yeah. Oh, Bam said I got to say it from the bottom of my chest. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah. Like that. Is that it, Burr? Is that it, Bam?
We got all that.
I think that was it. No, but... I guess so Kay, how long do you have with us, brother? Because I know, by the way, guys, the thing I'm aiming for too, if I bring guests on, much like I did with Colt, it was extended because Colt was helping us kind of fix things up. Not kind of, he literally helped us get that in order.
He's the reason episode 1 happened.
Exactly. So my aim is, if I do have guests, unless they're going to talk about all the topics that we're going to talk about, I do want to have them for a specific segment. So it'll be like a 30-minute or 40-minute thing if they can provide the time. But I know Kay is busy.
I can give you 15 more.
There we go.
You want to talk about these PlayStation topics real fast?
So we'll go over a few like general gaming topics right now before we move on. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, so the first one of these is, of course, PlayStation. Speaking of PC Master Race over there in the Kayasante camp, they're raising their Steam prices in a bunch of pretty big regions. The most important ones here is Canada's going from $70 to $80. China's going from 379 RMB to 414. I don't know what RMB stands for. And Japan, the home country, is going from 5,900 yen to 7,590 yen.
Did you say RMB?
RMB.
I was going to say, what, rhythm and blues? They want to
rhythm.
Yeah, you didn't know that's how they pay for stuff in China, it turns out.
They out there singing. Ooh,
yeah,
baby. And they raise the price on people.
It's true. Now you got to sing better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's definitely an interesting situation because we've seen that the PC ports of PlayStation games pretty consistently are either very late coming over there. In some cases, are pretty buggy. Like even the Horizon one when it first came over was not ideal. And now they're also going to be more expensive than their console counterparts. So they're really not supporting the PC ecosystem as much as they seem to be wanting to. It's sort of mixed messaging, I think.
Yeah.
All I can say about that is you will soon learn why PC people are the way they are. You were talking about
insufferable.
You talking about the high seas?
You were talking about it before. You gonna see some Jack Sparrow going on over there.
Yeah.
You're gonna see that because ain't nobody gonna have time for that.
Ain't nobody got time.
Ain't going down. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. And listen, I saw some people earlier. I saw Gray say it. I said, well, like, what's the solution? He's like, everybody go get a PC.
Yeah. You saw Greg Miller on Twitter
Preach
going
on
off about it. It was so funny.
Yeah, okay, you might have to ship a brother your 3080 build you got already. And like,
Hey, man.
because I saw the
Yeah,
build you putting together.
Yeah, I just saw that pirate ship you're putting together in
I
your
saw
living
it.
room.
Yeah. I peep. I seen you like $200 for it, all right? That's
Believe it or not, I actually have something that works. I haven't really talked about it publicly, but I'm working on potentially doing a new show with another member of the community talking about PC, because honestly, for those who genuinely like think the way that Greg Miller does, there are
like
people
me.
who genuinely think that way. And you're wrong. Like that's like Windows 95 thinking. Like it's long since passed.
Okay,
So,
well, meet me in Call of Duty once you're done updating your drivers.
see, this is my point. You know what I'm saying? Calm down here, right?
Make sure you get into the make sure you get into the settings to get those 2 extra frames.
You talk about Nintendo flinging poop while when you're talking about what do you call it? Frames per second. I'm thinking, oh, look at these Honda Civic problems.
I just don't want to take a second job to have to get 10 frames more. You know what I mean?
But see,
that's the developer's job.
You don't have to be like
I'm already
you don't have to build a beast. You can build a very conservative, normal machine, and it will run so much better than your console. It just is.
I heard something supposedly that a guy had. I think actually, who said this? I don't know who said it, but I think it might have been UK, but somebody said that a guy had got used parts and built a comparable PC to the Xbox Series X for $500.
Oh, people always be saying some nonsense like that.
Now you can do that. When it first came out, it would have cost you about $1,200-$1,300 for a Series X. But now you probably can do that. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Mm-hmm. Hey guys, appreciate you all in the chat.
You on the high seas for them 4080s too?
Out of here with all.
Hey, again, all love to the chat. Appreciate you guys coming through. If you all haven't done it yet, please hit the like and subscribe. Danny, what's the next on the news?
Yeah.
And that, by the way, just to say, I know Microsoft has also raised prices for some things in certain regions, like for the console prices, I believe. So none of that sounds good or feels good, knowing the situation we're in economically all around the world, by the way. So, but Sony keeps getting away with that, by the way, hiking up the price for their console. That's the first time that's ever happened, I believe, by the way. Yeah, Japan is definitely the one that shocks me the most for the price raise, just because like that's their home turf and they're already sort of losing ground there in terms of public appeal. Like the more I see on Twitter of Japanese gamers, it's just like they feel kind of low-key kind of betrayed by PlayStation in a lot of different ways, and like this is not going to help that. Granted, the PC marketplace is not huge in Japan anyway, because they're very much handheld sort of people. So
the canary in the coal mine for Japan was when they changed the button layout, when they stopped making it. You know, like there were Japanese gamers pissed off since that moment, and it seems like they're still going full bore in that direction. You know, it is what it is. Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's never been a better time for outside people like Xbox to try and move into Japan, because public sentiment right now is like who are you going to go with? Are you going to go with the guy who's cheating on you, or are you going to go with the new guy who's trying to do everything right and he's saying all the right words? You know what I mean? See, but that new guy, unfortunately, just keeps bumbling and hitting his face on every dumb tree every time he takes a step. You know, that's the problem with that new guy. All he needs to do is do one good thing right, and he's in there. But he's kind of fumbling too much, you know, unfortunately. You know? I mean, they just put out Hi-Fi Rush like a couple months ago. Like, they're doing all right. True. We need more Hi-Fi Rushes. Let's go. Yes, please. Please. But in other PlayStation news, we also got, they just bought Firewalk Studio, which is a sort of a smaller studio. It's a new one. I don't think they've put out a game yet. But they are ex-Bungie devs who are putting together a AAA multiplayer game. So my assumption is that they were like, well, we bought Bungie, and then they put out what is pretty widely considered to be the worst expansion of Destiny ever. So we need more Bungie to fix the Bungie. You know, so here it is. It's interesting too, because you guys know about the controversial dude, that Reforge guy. He put out a tweet, basically was like, I guess he just made up a scenario. And Vinny, by the way, I saw your tweet on it. The guy was like,
oh, we need you to compete with like Call of Duty for first-person shooters, but not like that. It was like, what? None of us care about this studio being acquired by Sony. None of us.
Yeah.
Not one person has made that statement on the Xbox side of things. Not one. So you can tell when people are trying so hard to go for some type of sound bite. It's like, nobody cares. What? Nobody cares about that over here. Oh, by the way,
it's definitely an interesting.
PlayStation, it's all good.
Vinny in the comments said he hates when people say that Xbox players get treated second class. It's more like economy plus treatment, he says.
We can go off on a tirade about what I think about that. I won't go there, but I'll just say it's not that they're treating you like second class citizens. It's just that you need more TLC than most.
Yeah.
So that's just what it is. Consoles need that, hands-on, spend your time, get it done right.
Wine and diners.
You don't feel exactly. Whereas PC, you just throw it on there. You ain't got the hardware
in
for
PC,
it.
they offload the work onto the players.
That's right.
They don't have to worry about it.
Right. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing though with PC is, at least for me and my experience, it's like you try to play these games and you got to update this driver. You're missing this.
That is crap. Stop.
And why does Steam have to update every single time I open it? What's going on there?
I don't know.
Probably
what are they
because
doing? It's been 3 hours.
Because it's in beta mode. That's why.
Listen,
because if you put it on the stable build, it'll never update. It'll update like once a month.
What's the stable build? See, we got to learn everything when it comes to.
Yeah, why is it?
I told you.
Was the default download in beta mode? See, this is exactly the kind of fact checking and stuff that I don't want to have to do on PC. You know what I do is I get back from work and I don't want to have to mess around with my settings for 20 minutes before I
got time for that. By the time that happens, we'll be tired.
The game.
I'm 41 now. I'll be sleepy by that point. Update the driver, huh?
That's true.
See, the reason why your argument holds no water there, Mr. Umbra. Right. I'm 42. Calm down.
See, you took an energy bar or something before you messed.
Get out of here.
You're a strong, active man. I saw you in the Halo show. I mean.
Oh yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
But what else we got in the news?
Yes, sir.
Danny?
So the ugly that I was referring to earlier over at PlayStation was unfortunately Dreams has ceased active development, and this is, I think, probably the biggest negative of this is for people who care about VR, which I think Kay Asante, fortunately, we have you here because I think you're a big VR guy.
I am so upset.
Right, because it never got brought over to VR, correct?
You took the best thing about your platform, what made you unique, and you went, for this new headset that's actually worth purchasing and has 99% games on every other platform, this thing that makes us unique, let's just throw that in the bushes. What?
Absolutely.
But see, like, if you all have been paying attention though to PlayStation, a lot of that, when it comes to those type of diverse like titles, and Dreams itself is surprising to me that it even existed after so long.
Yeah.
Because PlayStation went away from that type of stuff after the PS3. To me, they kind of went more for the AAA, and I'm sorry to say it, Kay, bangers. They really did. So this doesn't surprise me in this way, really, actually.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't surprise me, but it disappoints me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Media Molecule is one of those studios where, because people like to give PlayStation a hard time for a lot of their games look very similar, and it's true. But Media Molecule was always sort of one of the outliers of that, where they were doing the things that were fun and they're different. And to be fair, Media Molecule isn't being shut down as a studio. They're still going to continue and put out new games. But this concerns me because when we see this happen, the game being shut down, it's not just that the game is ceasing active development and they're not going to port it over to VR, which I think is a huge miss, because the number one thing the VR needs is content, and Dreams is a content machine, but whatever. But the additional piece of information for this that I'd like to get into is that in the sort of aftermath of this game being effectively shut down, 3 of the 4 studio heads, co-founders of the original studio, have stepped down from their positions and have left PlayStation entirely. Well, so this is maybe not as big of a deal as 343, just because it's such a small, like, it's not as big as Halo obviously is to Xbox, but this is as big of a shakeup in that studio as 343 has been seeing, and we're not really talking about it just because it's not as big of a game, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think if you're a Media Molecule fan right now, I think you have a lot of reason to be maybe not scared, but trepidatious.
Stunned about this. I equate this to, you know how when everybody started doing and this is a little bit of general tech talk, You know how back in the day when everybody had to have like a voice assistant, you had Google with their voice assistant, you had Siri, and you had Cortana, right?
Yeah.
They lose Cortana just before AI comes around.
Right.
What would you think would be brilliant right now?
Yeah.
Cortana with a brain.
Absolutely.
Instead, what do? You kill it before you give it a brain. This
we
is
saw
not
in Halo
bad.
Infinite that her having a brain might not have been a great
Might not have been a good idea. I know, yeah. You know, you have this VR platform. The first one, let's be honest, was crap. If you use that first one and went, I don't like VR, that's why you don't like VR. More than most, in VR, you get what you pay for. You need hardware that can give you that throughput, that overhead, otherwise you're vomiting. More than most, you get what you pay for in VR. So they finally come correct in VR, and the one thing that differentiates them in that space. Look at the launch titles. 98% of every game that's there was released elsewhere and looks better on PC elsewhere. It just does. Yeah, it has rumble, your head shakes, okay, but it still looks better on PC. It just does. How do you know? Because you can put a 4090 to it on PC. You can never do that on the on the PlayStation. So no matter how good it looks in there, it will always look better on PC. One thing you had was Dreams, where people were using it to create amazing things. And what do? You mothball it before you release it.
From dreams to nightmares.
It's insane.
It's so confusing because I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Danny. No, you finish this because I do want to move to this next one after you say this.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's just I just wanted to. Like, Dreams never really got super properly marketed. I don't think that people necessarily really saw it as something that was approachable to them, and I think that was always the biggest problem for it. But when you have two products that could synergize together so perfectly as a creation tool like Dreams and a headset like the PSVR, these two things that are sort of floundering independently, I think like they are each other's solution, and you're just giving up on one of them, and I think that's a real bummer.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of things that overhead and look so good and gorgeous, have you all seen that gameplay? And many doubted it, but have you all in the chat too seen the gameplay for that game Unrecord?
Yeah.
How impressed were you all by that?
I mean, you do realize just you know, as impressive as it is, right? You must understand that it's a small snippet of potentially a full-fledged game. And if you put all your energy on a small snippet, you can make it shine.
Absolutely.
Show me a full-fledged 10-hour experience like that, and I will be mouth agape, blown away.
Yeah.
But what they showed me was impressive. It's a small snippet. So you can put a lot of juice in it, a lot of energy in there, and it looks amazing, right? We've seen it before where you see a trailer and everything is just glistening and amazing. The moment you get into the regular gameplay, all of a sudden the textures start getting a little less than what they used to be. Why? Because memory management, because texture management, because LOD pop in, all that stuff. Now, what we saw was absolutely epic. Absolutely.
What if they managed to get? What if they managed to get a game that looked this damn good into VR though? Okay. Absolutely. No, bro. What you're describing is one of the main reasons why I'm upgrading my rig to, one of the biggest things I could end up doing, because you need a lot of overhead for that, and you're rendering it at like high fidelity per eye, which is basically 2 monitors, right? So in order to get it to look that good, you need a powerful machine. If they could thread that needle and get that thing in VR, that would be game changing. Absolutely. Yeah. One thing I do want to point out, it was made in Unreal Engine 5.
Of course. I think the thing that has me the most excited about it is a lot of the time when we see these vertical slices, we're like, that's impossible. It'll never happen. And while it does usually turn out that first vertical slice was at the time a lie, we do end up getting to that point in 5-10 years. So this gets me really excited for the future.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't necessarily know.
You were talking about remember Watch Dogs, that demo that everybody was like, oh, this didn't turn out. Cut to 5 years later, the mod community literally put all the effects back into the full game that was in the trailer.
Yeah, and another 4 years later, it wasn't even impressive anymore.
The mods that were promised.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. So we also had the news of the Suicide Squad being delayed until next year, 2 days before my birthday, by the way. 2/2/24. What are you guys' thoughts on that? And do you think that they can actually really change anything in the core gameplay within that time.
No,
I got no hope for that. Nope.
I'm with Kay on this one. I think the delay is almost pointless. The only thing that this is going to do, in my opinion, is it's going to maybe let them have more content in it at launch. I know that's one of the things that they were talking about is like, oh, we'll add more characters, we'll add more scenarios or whatever. So I don't know, because they are talking about it as being like a games as a service game. From everything that I've seen, at least from what they've talked about from this delay, is they're not fundamentally changing what the game is, and so I don't think people are going to respond particularly well to it, because from what I've been hearing, people are generally like, it doesn't look very good, like visually. The gameplay of it looks like you're just shooting purple balls. Like, I'm seeing just a lot of really negative opinions towards the base of what this game is, and it is sort of completely restarting. You're not going to be able to fix that. You might be able to have a slightly better game, but honestly at this point, especially a delay of that long, I think it's almost pointless.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping they can do something, because from what they showed us in that gameplay reveal, I was turned away from that game. It did nothing for me personally.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's enough time where they can kind of do something, but
I hope so.
I don't know, man. It seems. Oh wait, I didn't even know that. So in the chat,
Good.
we have AV for the win. Hey, what's up, brother? He says even the or sister, even the Street Fighter 6 demo just skipped the Xbox. See, I didn't know that, and that doesn't even make sense, because Microsoft has a pretty decent relationship with Capcom, which is why I want them to be acquired.
The
by
PlayStation owns Evo, so
that's ridiculous. That doesn't even make sense right there, man. I mean, I guess it's a good stop up from it being money headed away from the platform altogether, but still.
Yeah, just because the game is still coming to Xbox, right? I haven't really been looking.
It is coming to Xbox. Yep.
Right.
It is.
I didn't know that for sure.
So
this is more a marketing thing, most likely.
I guess. Well, and one other news piece that we came to find today was Diablo 4. If you all have not played it, you will get a chance to May 12th through the 14th. And for the beta, you will also unlock a special piece that you can put on your mount from fighting this world boss. And if you all haven't played it, I can tell you right now, Diablo 4 is spectacular. It is spectacular from what I've played in the demo. I played as the rogue, and I also played as the necromancer. Loved it, and I think you all will too. So give it a chance if you haven't played a beta, and give your thoughts to it and try it out. Yeah. And I think that's really it for the news notes. So with that being the case, Kay,
Absolutely.
and I know that's been like 15 minutes more.
No worries, brother.
Really appreciate your time, brother. So I know you have a special thing going on this Saturday, you and Everborn.
Yes, sir.
And a guest
Yes,
and everything like that. You want to tell the good folks where they can find you and everything else like that?
Oh, first and foremost, I want to thank y'all for having me on. You know, Umbra. Every time I consider you two the new dynamic duo. Every time I see you on, I gotta watch what's going down. I appreciate all the stuff you do. The fix is great, and it just started. This is absolutely awesome. More folks should be watching you, and more folks will be watching you. And I'll be sitting back like very proud. You know, I have a small piece in his success, and I appreciate it. So no, thank you guys for having me. I will be having we'll be having more conversations. You know, there's a lot going on this weekend. So on the show, on the Gaming Circle podcast, GCP, follow me on Twitter, TKO Sante, and when the show goes live, of course, you'll know 10 a.m. most times, Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. And we will have the King, Mr. King David OTW from the Iron Lords podcast, as well as the man Silent Cypher from Xbox International. They're going to join us. We're going to have a great conversation. And as more, because you know myself and the slanderous one, Everborn Saga, who likes to breathe deep of the ABK stuff, the next week will be a very interesting week. Not this week coming, but the week after. I think it's the 26th. Will be very interesting as far as decision making and all that. So we're gonna have some more special guests on to have those conversations when we either hear about how easy Microsoft won, or people start sulking because Microsoft hit a big wall. You know, it's all happening soon. It's all happening soon. So it should be super interesting. Oh, I should also note for those who don't know, the Wandering Dutch is having the community indie showcase this Saturday, right after the Gaming Circle podcast, which we will also be featured. A lot of folks be featured. I've seen some of the guest lists and some of the special guests. Oh, you want to watch it? It's going to be absolutely amazing. So I hope more people check it out. You know, you don't like the Keeleys so much. Tune out to the Dutchies. It's gonna be good. So.
Pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side.
Not that type of Dutchie.
Oh, okay.
But no, I appreciate y'all having me.
Oh man, we appreciate you coming in, brother. I mean, like,
absolutely.
it's always a treat for me to hear you speak on things, man. Because I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I do mean that. Like, it's always impressive to me to see brothers with such intelligence and elegance and understanding and knowledge like yourself and Everborn on these types of things. So always a pleasure to hear you guys. And thank you for joining us, man. I know you have things to do tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nah, no worries. It was a pleasure. I will be.
Yeah. I said all that to butter you up so I can get that old build you had of that PC, man.
Bro, hit me in the DMs. We can chat, man. I got you. Let's go. Let's talk about it. You know, it's all good. But yeah, I'll be building that thing this weekend, so you'll probably see more pictures and stuff from me.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the finished product. Are you gonna be putting in all these lights in there and everything, making it look all fancy?
I'm understated. I don't like to go too RGB crazy, but you'll see some lights. You'll see some lights. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, brother. Appreciate you, and you have a good night.
You too, gentlemen.
I'll ask you later about it, I guess. But because I was gonna be like, what are you watching? But I'm not do all that. But
we'll talk later.
We'll talk later about it.
Yes, sir.
You have a good night.
Good night, gentlemen. You too. Later.
See you.
Yeah. So, Danny.
Yes.
So we'll transition now to I'm gonna say this, and I'm sorry for anybody in the chat, but a brother is parched, man. I need something to drink. So I'll let you transition to this next topic while I get myself something to drink really quick and get back over here. And the next topic of the day is what, Danny?
Sure. Yeah. So did you want to save Mandalorian for last and go straight into the anime highlights, or
we can save the Mando for last? And I'm so reticent, like you pointed out, like to pull up clips. So I'm not gonna pull up any clips.
It seems risky.
Yeah. So what I'll do instead is use the URL to look up the image of whatever we name. How about that?
Sounds good to me.
And go from there, because I'm not trying to get caught up. But so what are we talking about right now, Danny?
Yeah. So I think the way, just for you guys in the chat, the way that me and Umbra have decided that we're going to do this is we've each chosen 3 of the new anime that are coming out for the spring 2023 season, which has already started. It's got sort of a rolling start, but I think the earlier parts of it are like 3 to 4 weeks in, so a couple episodes out already. And we're going to go back and forth sort of from our third most anticipated up to our first most anticipated, and just sort of describe what those shows are and sort of pitch them to each other and you guys to see how interested you guys are in them, because there's a lot of really high quality stuff coming out this season in particular. I haven't seen Umbra's list, but I specifically was trying to avoid a lot of the sequel, the sort of the sequel, like second seasons.
I see Telos. No, we're not quite through Telos, but
no, sir.
I'll say this: we're not going to be too long in the tooth after this. Probably about 20 minutes, because that'll be about an hour and 30, like we talked about. So yes, not too long.
So my number 3, my third most anticipated anime for this season, it's called Insomniacs After School.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so let me try to sell you on this one. So my thought on the log line of this anime is it's these 2 high school kids, because of course like 90% of anime is high school kids, who they suffer from insomnia, and they wind up stuck together in a observatory, like for stars, overnight. Where a previous student had, I think, either died or committed suicide. Like the thought on it is that it's haunted, and so it's this sort of paranormal slice of life, sort of like almost romance sort of situation, and it sounds really cute. The only reason why it's only number 3 on my list is because unfortunately it is only streaming on High Dive, which is a service that I am not gonna pay for, so maybe I'll be hitting the high seas with Kayasante, but until then, unfortunately, I think it's gonna have to be one that I come back around to later, but it looks so good, and the animation on it is beautiful. I don't know who does it, but it's stunning.
I'll have to look into it. So Avi asked, he says he hasn't watched it, or he or she. Avi, what's your I don't know your designation. I don't want to be offensive, but he said I'm going to go with he for now. Hasn't watched anime in so long. I'll just say they. How about that? They haven't watched anime in so long. Anything like Genkotsu, how do I say this properly? Genkotsuo or Samurai Champloo. Is anything like that currently running? Champloo, no. I can tell you that now.
Oh, see, I would disagree.
I think it's like that.
Well, my number one, so we'll get to it.
Okay.
But
Nice.
Gankutsuo or whatever, I'm not familiar with that, so I can't speak to if there's anything like that.
I'll have to look into that one, Avi. It's for my number 3 right now, at least. And I guess most of mine are probably going to be like major picks anyway. Most people probably would agree with just because it's so well known. Most of these, but and I guess I'm like that. I'm guilty of that. And every now and then I will hit some of these slice of lives, and things like that. And the isekais, I'll check some of those out here and there, if they're not too annoying. But I would say for me, my number 3 would be Mashle. And and if you all haven't heard of that, excuse me, Mashle has 12 episodes, and basically it's just about this world where it's a magic dominated world, and you have this powerless main character named Mash Bernadette, and he's like a threat to their gene pool because he has the powers they get is because of, I believe, a line or a mark on their body. The more marks and lines they have on them, the stronger they're supposed to be. So he spends every day basically training his body and his muscles and all of that to be able to compete with magic itself. So and he goes to the school and things like that. It's like an anime version of, I don't know, a mashup of Harry Potter meets I don't know, like
One Punch
Man or something like that.
I also saw that one. It looks really interesting for sure.
And it looks to be kind of gag heavy, so it's probably got like a lot of comedy in it too, things of that nature. So I think you all could possibly like that. And Danny, I'll let you go to your number 2 while I grab something to drink really quick.
Sure. Did you not already? Did you drink your drink already?
No, I wanted to hear your number 3.
Okay. So my number 2 is it's called My Home Hero. It's a thriller where the premise of it is that this father finds out that his daughter's boyfriend has been like beating her. So he kills the boyfriend, only to then find out that the boyfriend, first of all, has also killed his previous girlfriends, and is part of the mob. And so him and his wife end up having to like hide the body and then deal with like, oh, the Yakuza is getting suspicious of where this man has gone, and like this whole situation. And it very much seems like the kind of show that's probably only going to get 1 season, so like probably 12 episodes, but it sounds really exciting. I think that it has the possibility of being just like a really interesting sort of crime thriller, and I absolutely could use that. The animation of it, again, I don't know who does this one, but it's very pretty. The way that they handle like lights and shadows is incredibly impressive. I think that this is probably going to be one of the sort of slept on gems of this season. I think they've already got an episode out, maybe 2, but I haven't started it yet. I might do that tonight, but I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check up both of these out right here that you named. They sound interesting.
Yeah, well, one's only on High Dive, so you can probably safely skip that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna high dive into the 7th season, see if I can find it.
Yes, sir. What's your number 2?
So for number 2 for me is Vinland Saga season 2. The Vinland Saga to me kind of came out of nowhere, the first season, and I first saw, I believe I saw the manga first, but I didn't really read it. And then I started seeing the anime, and I saw the animation. I'm like, wow, this looks good. This looks reminiscent of anime, like some animation I've seen. And lo and behold, it was by Mappa. Mappa is just top notch They got to be. If they're not number one, they're number 1A in the game when it comes to animation. And if you all have not seen Vinland Saga, please check that anime out. It's to give you a quick synopsis, it's basically based in the Norse land, if you will. It's about I don't want to give anything too much away.
Well, it's because it's based on the Vinland Saga is a real like historical story that I think they're adapting to it.
Yeah,
to the anime.
It is in a way, and I know that follows Thorfinn and so on and so forth. And that's my nephew in the chat. What's up, Tyrese?
Hey.
He's seen it too. He's seen it's a great anime, very nice paced, and
I've heard nothing but good things about Vinland Saga.
It's well worth it. Well voice acted, well animated, excellent story. I will say, season 2 is probably going to tick a lot of people off because it's going to be a slower drag compared to the first season. And I'm pretty sure at least the second half of it more than likely because of. So I started reading the manga after that, and the manga just slows to a crawl, in my opinion, because it's such a dramatic shift. And I'm not going to give anything away, but it's just a dramatic shift, in my opinion. But that's my number 2 for me is Vinland Saga. If you haven't seen the first season, definitely take my nephew's words of advice there, and as far as what his thoughts are, because it's well worth your time.
Yeah, it's. Everything I've heard about it is just glowingly positive. I'm a huge fan of. I haven't started watching it yet, but just some of the clips that have been shared around they're always exciting.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your number? Is it number 1 for you now, right?
I'm up to number 1. My number one is world premiere it's Hell's Paradise. So Hell's Paradise is. Yeah, so Hell's Paradise is based on a manga that recently wrapped up, and it was so well received that the mangaka who was writing it, he had his second manga optioned for anime like immediately. Like he's barely started writing it, and they're already like, "Hey, whenever you're done with that, just let me know." Like that's where we're at with this, right? And Hell's Paradise was his first manga ever. Like he's not a well-known person or anything like that. But the idea of it is the main character is this guy Gabimaru the Hollow. He's a escaped shinobi, so like a ninja, and he's like trying to run away from his ninja village, and he gets caught and people are trying to execute him, but because he's got all these like insane ninja techniques, they can't, because they'll like try to cut his head off and he just like hardens the skin on his neck and the sword breaks. Right?
I actually read that. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, I started to. I'm like, wait, this sounds familiar.
It's so good.
I didn't see the anime for it, but so this will be the first season for it, then, right?
This is the first season. Yeah,
okay,
we're 3 episodes in now.
Definitely got to watch that because I actually really did enjoy the premise from what I read in the books, and I do understand.
Yeah.
Like he goes to this island, and I'm not going to go too far with it, but
yeah, no. So basically, yeah. So they try to execute him and they can't, and so this like professional executioner who's like a huge badass shows up, and she's like, "Hey, I could kill you because I'm actually good enough that I could for real cut your head off, like no problem." And he's like, "Please don't though." And she's like, "No worries." So actually, the Shogun is looking for this elixir of immortality or elixir of life or whatever, but it's on this like super evil hell island that's called Hell's Paradise. And if you can go there and shoot with me and get the elixir and come back, then you're good to go. We'll forget all your pardons and you can go back to your wife or whatever, right? And so it's this really fun story of there's these pairs of like a really hardcore criminal with their executioner who they have a specific name, but I can't remember it right now. Probably couldn't pronounce it correctly even if I could. Who are like trekking through this just insane like anime hellscape island. It's so beautifully rendered. It's being done by Mappa, who, if you don't know them, they're also from Jujutsu Kaisen and like Chainsaw Man, so they do action I think probably better than anybody else. They're absolutely top tier. I love them. They are knocking this anime out of the park. And again, we're only 3 episodes in, so I don't know where it goes. I haven't read it. You may honestly know further into the story than I do because I've only read about volume 1 worth, so 7 chapters.
I could.
And it's so good. It is so good.
I wonder, and I didn't know that Mappa was doing that for them. So
they're killing it too.
Yeah.
Like it's in my opinion, it's some of their best work.
That's interesting right there. What's up, Charlie Hustle? Yeah, that's interesting because like Mappa is just holding it down right now. I told you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I was saying about the other one, but the other anime. But so, yeah, I wonder. I'm probably got to do a ranking for anime houses and see who comes out on top one day.
We should definitely do that sometime. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess for me, for my number one,
Yeah.
and I believe it started back, but the current season, like you pointed out, of My Hero Academia, didn't it start recently?
The 6th season just ended. But yes.
For that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know when exactly it ended. I just finished it.
Yeah, I thought, okay, so yeah, it's technically, yeah, I'm right. It's technically spring for that one. So that would be my number one. It would be Kimetsu no Yaiba. And
Demon Slayer.
Yeah, Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, did I name the wrong? I'm saying my head is all over the place. I'm naming one while thinking of something else.
You said My Hero, and I was like,
yeah,
that was this season.
not My Hero. I'm thinking of Demon Slayer. And by the way,
Absolutely.
my nephew is the only person that I know that does that, particularly in person, where he'll try to be super weeaboo and be like, "Oh, the Kimetsu no Yaiba, Katanaju Kuji no Saitan." Yeah. I'm like, boy, if you don't just say Demon Slayer and keep it moving, he doesn't. He's bad at that. But no, Demon Slayer. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
That's my number one. That I am most hyped for. I love the first season. They had the spinoff movie with
Mugen
the
Train.
Exactly. And now they have this right here coming up. So this, if you all have not seen Demon Slayer, aka Kimetsu no Yaiba, please watch that. It is such a spectacular, well done anime. The animation for it is top notch. I think, who does that? Is it Ufotable? I believe does that.
No, I don't actually know, but they do a really great job. I haven't started watching it yet, which I need to get around to. It's definitely high on my list. But they have this technique of because I hate CG in anime.
Yeah.
But they have this technique where they start with CG and then they draw over the top of it. So they use it as like a guide to sort of speed up their process. And they do a really good job with that.
And it's definitely Ufotable. Ufotable does, if you all haven't seen it, they do not only Demon Slayer, but they do what's that other one? Fate Stay Night. And Fate Stay Night has excellent animation. So check that. It's a great anime too. So they have them for
that's another one that people keep recommending to me. So they must be really good.
Yeah, it is. Fate Zero, God Eater, Tales of Zestiria. They done a lot. They even have, I think they're working on a Genshin Impact anime, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting. I liked Genshin from what I played of it. I didn't get as far in as I would have liked just because I got busy. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. I think it didn't because the most recent one that ended for Demon Slayer was the Entertainment District arc, and I remember that was getting really good reviews. What's this one called? It's like the Sword Village or something.
Sword Village, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the name of this one? So let me look it up to make sure. Yes, it's the Swordsmith Village arc.
Right.
That's right.
I've definitely heard that name before, so I think this. I mean, I don't know the spoilers, but I think that there might be some big spoilers that happen in this arc because I've heard that one before as like a hey, stuff is like popping off. So I don't know.
Definitely avoid any of that. I would,
for sure. But isn't Demon Slayer also like the manga of it is already done? So it should be coming pretty soon to an end, right?
The manga. It ended already, the manga, so I don't know how they're going to go with this. I actually asked a buddy of mine about that. He thinks that they'll just continue to go on with it regardless and have, like, I guess, original works, maybe. I don't know how they're going to plan on doing that. So, we'll see. But it seems...
Maybe they'll do a Boruto and it'll just
ended really, really early. Like, usually, it's years
especially
and
for
years.
shonen.
Exactly. So, this...
But I kind of like that. Both that and My Hero both had, like, the person who was writing it knew from the start the whole story that they were going to tell, and they were like, this is it. Which, to be fair, technically Oda knew the whole story he was going to tell, but he just knew that it was also going to be like 2,000 chapters or whatever.
Yeah, like with
This
One
man's
Piece,
insane.
and with One
But
Piece,
still,
they were going to end it earlier too, like until I think the
yeah,
popularity
because
of the sword.
it wasn't taken off at first. Yeah.
Right.
Uh, and now it's of course like the biggest anime franchise of all time, which is insane.
Yeah, it is.
But hey, as a One Piece fan, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. So hey,
Yeah.
much love in the chat. I see you, Kiryu. I see you, my boy. What's up, Garuda Intruder, and my boy Logical. What's up, Lodge? And if you all have not liked and subscribed, please do. We'll be moving on to the final
round.
final round. We're going to be talking about the Mandalorian season 3. And if you all haven't watched it yet, you might want to cover your ears or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll try to stay a little light on spoilers, but some things might come out. So if you know that you're a heavy spoiler hater, then this might be the point for you to step off. But we loved having you here, so thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Someone see Steph in the chat's already yelling for Mandalore. He's ready. He's prepared.
Kiryu said he can't stand the yellow hair dude that's always crying. Nobody likes him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he is whiny a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, what are your? Because you just finished Mandalorian season 3 today, correct?
I just finished it. I binged it. Last I left off was episode 3, so I just caught all the way up and just watched them all. What
are your sort of top level thoughts?
So my overall thought is, pacing wise, it was not as good as the previous seasons, as particularly the first season. And I guess that's kind of a problem with any show, right? It's always like out of pacing. To me, the pacing was, I don't know, some hit or miss, because some episodes felt like they dragged a little bit. Excuse me. They felt like they dragged a little bit with side stories that we didn't really need to see. For an instance, with the doctor guy who was doing the cloning part, right?
Pershing,
thank you. And they showed that, and then he showed I forgot her name. Is it Zyla? I forgot her name.
Elia something.
Elia.
You're talking about the spy.
Exactly. And they showed all of that, and it's like, okay, like that's cool, but they basically dedicated an entire episode to them, and then the whole turning the knob up. Like, what was that all for? Like, what was the end result of that? We never got an answer.
That was just really weird because
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a bad episode in and of itself, but I was expecting it to pay off later in the season, and it never did.
That's exactly what I said. I'm like, okay, so what was that for? It was just
So
filler.
I was really confused.
Yeah, it was just, see, Steph even said it was Dr. Filler episode. And so I didn't understand that. I'm like, why did you, like, okay. It made no sense to me, that right there. And I think a few of the episodes kinda, I won't go say they weren't as far as that, but some of them kind of felt that way to me, where it was like, I think you could have skipped that part, or you could at least sped it up to the next scene or something like that, to me. And it seemed almost like they didn't have enough to I guess speak on with the Mandalorians, so they had to kind of try to focus on other characters. I don't know. That's the best way I can put it.
That's so I 100% understand what you're saying, and I 100% agree with the pacing being bad, and like some of these episodes didn't really go anywhere. The only thing that I disagree with that is I think they did have a lot to talk about with Din and with Bo-Katan and that whole story, and they just kind of rushed it in those last 2 episodes. And I love those last 2 episodes. I think that they're probably 2 of the best episodes in the entire series, if I had to, I mean, recency bias aside. I think that they're fantastic. But yeah, I look at this season and I look at, episode 1 and 2 had the story of like he's got to go bathe in the mines of Mandalore or whatever and get his honor back, or whatever that was. And then we kind of wheel spin for 4 episodes, and then there's the 2 really good ones at the end. So it feels like in this 8 episode season, we had 4 episodes that were directly in service of the plot, and then 4 that were just kind of like one-off episodes.
Kind of filler.
And like, a lot of them had like, oh, at the end of this one, we're going to meet these characters and they're going to be important for the ending. And like, so there were like little bits that
what they reminded me of, by the way, when you just mentioned it like that?
Yeah.
It reminded me of an episode of The Last of Us, which I correctly called out as filler.
Right.
And I had,
even though that was a really good episode.
It was a good episode. Episode 3.
Episode 3
of The Last of Us. But it was a filler episode that only, at the last second, here, or at the very beginning, here's Joel and Ellie. Nope, no more of them.
So well
then at the very end,
well filmed.
It was great episode, just was filler. And that's why I try to get people to understand, because emotion overrode their thoughts, saying like, "Oh, that's not filler." Yes, it was. And this right here was in that vein, except it wasn't as excellently filmed, I guess, or acted as that episode.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as good. No.
And that's another one too. Steph pointed out, I believe it was episode 6, with the server Christopher Lloyd, Jack Black.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, I was cringing throughout most of that.
Which
I'm
was
not
called
gonna lie.
Yeah, episode 6 was called Guns for Hire, and that was where they went down to Fancast Planet, and we had Jack Black and Lizzo and Christopher Lloyd, and just nothing of value happened for an hour.
Yep.
That episode, I don't remember every episode of The Mandalorian. I would hazard to guess that is the worst episode that this show has had ever, because it was awful. It was such a waste of my time. Like, I felt not insulted, but I felt like, why did I bother? Like, why am I here?
It
made
what I mean? No sense to be there.
Because the other 3 filler episodes, I think are good episodes, because we had the spy one that was like, it was a good episode, just didn't do anything, and then we had the Order 66 / we got to shoot that bird episode, and like that was kind of fun. And then the last one was when the pirates were like attacking Navarro or whatever, and so like those 3 episodes were really fun to watch. They just didn't really feel like they were in service of much. But yeah, no, that Lizzo episode was just like, why are we doing this? Yeah. Like, what? We only had 8 episodes. Why are we spending one of them on nothing?
And that's the problem. That's why I said you could tell like they didn't really have, to me, it mapped out well enough to touch on the Mandalorians themselves. And so they floated it with, oh, let's do this and just bring in Jack Black and Lizzo. Why is Lizzo there? And I'm not even saying that she did a terrible job acting wise. I think she was okay, but it's like,
she's fine.
It's like, why are you here? And I love Jack Black, but why?
Yeah,
you know,
I think the problem for me with Jack Black is that I can't not see Jack Black. So like, it doesn't matter what his character's name is. He's Jack Black.
Right. All I'm gonna hear is comedy.
I'm just gonna start hearing the entire Tenacious D soundtrack in my head. Yeah, exactly.
I do not mean to blow your mind. But yeah. And then the thing for me is like, some episodes felt right, like the pacing and everything. Like the finale felt right, pacing wise. That was solid. Even it was probably the best episode, and that should be the way it is. The finale should be the best, but the finale felt like it was paced well, action packed, almost, I believe, from beginning to end. The special effects were beautiful and top notch. Everybody was heroic. The villains were villaining, if you will.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
I loved it. And that to me is kind of how the season 1 and 2 were more in line with that, where it felt more cohesive overall.
Yeah.
Season 3 is kind of all over the place to me thematically, and it kind of like, okay, we're back now with the Mandalorians and reunite, and it just seemed like they piecemealed this stuff together to me overall.
Yeah, because I do think in season 1 and 2 there was still that situation where like there's a couple episodes where it feels like they're just these like one-off adventures, but I feel like in season 1 and 2 they were better handled for the most part, where they felt like they fit naturally into the story and then got out naturally, you know, whereas in this one it's like, we're gonna go do this thing, and then literally the camera almost like whip pans and it's like, no, you're hanging out with Jack Black for a while. It's like, all right, like it felt really clumsy.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. One of the things I did love about this season though is Bo-Katan. This was basically Bo-Katan season 0. I would honestly be surprised if we don't get some kind of spin-off project with Bo-Katan. And I'm 100% okay with that. I will watch 10 seasons of Bo-Katan just rebuilding Mandalore or whatever. She's so cool. She's fantastic in a fight. I love Katie Sackhoff. I think she's a great actress. Bringing her back in from Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff is phenomenal. I always love when the voice actor is able to also be the physical actor. I think that's a huge bonus, because then you don't have the thing of like, oh well, like Kevin Conroy's my Batman voice, but he never really got to play it physical except like one episode of the Arrow show, but it was really bad, so we don't talk about it. So I just love that. Right, I think that she was absolutely phenomenal in this. I actually think she was better than Din in a lot of cases, where like Din kind of felt like he was kind of like bumbling around. Like a couple of those episodes, especially what was it, like episode 2 where they went to the mines. He was just Mr. Magoo in it through that whole
and then she had to rescue him and everything. And when I saw that, to me it set up I thought was going to be a thing where it's set up for her for an eventual spinoff. So I agree with you on that. Just because she came to be the rescuer, like you said, they highlighted her to being this, like she was, so competent, while he was, like you said, all of a sudden fumbling all of a sudden. So to me, they kind of ham-fisted it a little bit, but I can definitely tell that they were setting it up to make her like at least.
It definitely feels like that,
star
especially because this season feels like it has such a tone of finality for Din and Grogu. Like the way that it ends, and I don't want to say it specifically because it's like the biggest spoiler of the season, but it really does feel like they're gonna go off and they're gonna do their own little thing and they're gonna have little adventures here and there, but the majority of their story, like we're focusing on a different Mandalorian now. Like that's what it felt like.
Yeah. And
I'm kind of okay with that because I just want my boy to be happy, and he seems like he's gonna be happy.
Yeah. So like they had like 3 main themes, I believe we can say, for this season, and one was obviously reuniting the Mandalorians together,
right?
Basically, bringing them together. Another one was, I guess, I guess it was kind of like to fight off the Imperial forces and such, right? And so that was kind of woven into it, and I don't know if I should say it, but that's where we get back with the excellent Moff Gideon.
Yeah, I wish he was in more of the show, but
I
unfortunately,
wish he was too.
Yeah, because I love Giancarlo Esposito. I think he's a class actor.
Excellent actor. But what did you feel about them kind of just having him more or less be dark Mandalorians, basically, with the armor and everything?
It did feel a little lazy, but it was also really cool.
Yeah.
So I was kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
The only thing about Moff Gideon's character in this that bothered me was there's the bit where, and this is very light spoilers, but there's a bit where he was like, I'm gonna go fight him myself, and then he wandered off, and then like somehow it still felt like Din got the drop on him. Like he knew exactly where he was on the map and was heading straight for him, and then somehow like Din still got around him, and like I don't know how that happened.
He's stealthy.
I was like, you're supposed to be like this big cool like super general or whatever, and instead you got, I don't know, you got lost in your own base. You had to go take a bathroom break.
Din
it took a while because
oil.
you were in that
He got
suit.
oil on those metal boots and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was slipping, sliding
all around, and Grogu helped him float around, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, and one thing I'll give I did like some of the comedy bits, like with Steph, that could be right, by the way. He said conspiracy theory, he didn't die, that was just a clone making clone. Could be right.
It could be. Once clones are introduced, anything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even if that was the case where he was in it, he probably could have survived it just because their armor was enhanced and everything. So it might be the case you see him and he's burned badly or something like that, which would fit in line with the whole Darth Vader look he had going on anyway, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But it doesn't. They could just be like, somehow Moff Gideon is alive, like they did with Palpatine, and then it's like
pretty much
problem solved. We don't even have to talk about it.
Well, did you find it kind of funny? Because I love Grogu. I think Grogu has been one of the main reasons why the show has taken off.
He's starting to wear on me a little bit. Love him.
But so what did you think about him getting into the IG-12 and basically with the no?
Definitely mixed feelings. Because I think number one, that's really funny. So as a pure concept level, I was there for it. On a when you really stop and think about it level, it was kind of gross because you're like, that is extensively the corpse of your friend, and you're piloting it around, and you've got little buttons in it that make it talk in Taika Waititi's voice, and it's like, I don't know if this is okay. But I don't know. In general, I was okay with it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I hate to say the word, but I thought it was cute. Like cute.
It was.
It was funny, and he was now, and then
I was.
All right.
When he got into that fight at the end, no spoilers. But I was scared. I was very scared.
You were scared for him?
I was.
I thought that
because Pedro Pascal had tweeted out like the day before, he was like, the finale might hurt too much, guys. I don't know if you want to watch this one. And I was like, Pedro, how dare you?
I didn't know that. Okay, that was to get people to tune in. That's all that was.
It worked. It worked, and it made my butthole clench. I wasn't here for it. I was afraid.
Had the clinch going on, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we kind of try to wrap it up, but I'll say, overall, I did enjoy the season. It just wasn't as well plotted out or paced as season 1 and 2 at all. And the strongest episode to me was the final episode, overall, the themes of everything they were trying to do was just kind of all over the place. Yeah, Steph, they need a "this is the way" button for him.
This is the way.
And I did like a lot of, seeing Grogu grow into his own and stuff, and that he did have the excellent moment in the finale where he used the Force powers and everything like that to stop the fire. I thought that was dope.
That was really nice.
Yeah, it was kind of like their Groot moment. We are Groot, basically.
A little bit, yeah, for sure.
I did love it though. It was nice to see that, and I love the music that they played during it. It definitely felt good. And of course they couldn't rest there, right? So they had to give us something to get your jerk the old tear out of our eyes. So they, of course, Mando, aka Din, he adopted Grogu. And so, and I'm sorry to give it away, but I know most of you all saw that. So
yeah, hopefully
it's Grogu. Oh, excuse me, Din Grogu now.
Din Grogu. Yeah, which confused me because I always thought it was like Din first name, Jaren last name, but I guess Din is the last name.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's confusing, but also I don't need to worry about it too much. It's Star Wars. With a lot of Star Wars stuff, I just don't have the energy to think about it too much because like there's people who get really deep in the weeds of like the continuity and stuff of Star Wars, and it's like, well, in this book it did this, and then in this stage play it did that, and in the comic it did this, and it's like I don't have the time or energy.
No, I'm with you on that, bro. I'm with you 100%. And there are some who are super into it like that, but like I told you the last time we
Godspeed to them, but they ain't me.
Yeah, not me. I can't do it. I love it for what it's worth, but I can acknowledge when they misstep, like clearly the Jack Black and
that was
this whole thing was
poor choice.
Yeah, that was just like nah.
So if you had to give this season like a grade, where were you feeling on it as a whole?
From 1 through 10, right? Yeah. Let's say there were a few good episodes. The finale being the strongest to me. 8 episodes total. At least 3 really stood out. 1 being the finale, of course. Special effects taken into account, acting, things of that name. Steph asked, how did you feel about them calling him Din Djarin and not Mando? I like it. It just shows more. Yeah. For me,
it shows that he's opened up to these people more. Like they view him less as a mercenary and more as a person.
That and also the fact that to me kind of shows that the show is winding down.
That too.
Yeah, because even at the end where they showed them basically pulling a Geralt where they kicked back in their final place chilling now, it kind of shows a bit of finality. I'm pretty sure it's going to be obviously another season, but that might be the final season. That's what it's seeming like to me.
Yeah, I think that we'll definitely see them again because we know, we talked about it last week. Mm-hmm. We know that Favreau's doing that movie that's going to wrap up like the whole Mandalorian timeline. So it's going to be him and Boba Fett and the Ahsoka show, like that whole thing coming together. So it's not impossible, depending on when that movie ends up getting announced to actually come out. It's not impossible that this could be the last like official season of The Mandalorian. Like I'm sure he'll show up in Ahsoka or in whatever. Like we're not done with these characters, but it might be the last episode of this season or this show.
That's possible. I mean? And they'll appear here and there. I'm wondering if we'll ever see an adult Grogu. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
I hope so too. And I saw the concept art online, which was dope. I would love to see him fully. Like Steph pointed out, season 4 has been written, so I'm fully expecting them to do season 4, and it'll probably be the final one, if they don't go to a season 5 to round it out. But I would love if maybe they did that, and then I guess for the last part they kind of show a fast forward, and we see Grogu when he's older or something, and he can actually speak and talk.
We definitely need to get to a point where he can talk. Yeah. He's cute and I get it and I love him for it, but I need words. I need words from my boy.
Yeah. And I wonder would he speak in a broken English like Yoda?
He shouldn't theoretically.
That's what I'm wondering.
This is something that I've heard people talking about. Is apparently Yoda talks the way he does because he's like mimicking his old master, like the guy who raised him. So theoretically, Grogu should talk like Din, so just like not a lot and just say this is the way every now and then.
What if he did and he like?
He'll just be voiced by Pedro Pascal. He's not busy. He's just in every show ever.
This is the way. Yeah, Grogu would have to be like Steph said, like 200 years old.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
they can fast
The
forward way
aging-
into the future and show what he looked like, and just it's a a what if kind of scenario if they wanted.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, well, they got the clone thing going too, mind you, so they could age up a clone and like
That's true. Don't clones age
adult
faster?
Grogu. Yeah, you never know what they
Yeah.
can pull. But I mean, outside of the heartstring pulling, the Din Grogu and all that, which I loved, and seeing him is clearly his father. I mean, when he did that, it was like, and
Yeah.
seeing Bo-Katan, and which I loved her in so many different shows, particularly, of course, Battlestar Galactica.
Oh yeah,
so
she's great.
I love her. Yeah. So outside of those things, special effects, everything like that, obviously Giancarlo, like you pointed out, I would have to give it, I think, I almost said a 6.5, man, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with a 7 out of 10. I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna be generous and say a 7 out of 10 overall.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think we're in pretty much the same boat. I think we're pretty close on this. I was gonna say a 7.5.
Yeah.
Because those middle episodes were really rough. They were really rough, but 3 out of the 4 of them were still good episodes, and I like where we ended up. I think if they hadn't landed the ship as well as they did at the end there, we would have been talking about a much different scenario. Like we're talking like 5 out of 10 scenario.
Yeah.
But I think they landed it really well. And also, I was just something I didn't bring up, but I was just in love the whole time with all the practical effects that they were doing. I'm a big sucker for that. So when you've got little dumb puppet Grogu like hop skipping around, I'm in 100%.
I was cracking up when he was jumping around like that.
Oh yeah, I was loving it. It was it was so cute. Or even just
they also
like
had
the
that
one,
pirate guy, right?
Yeah, the like Mossbeard pirate guy.
Yeah.
was really good. I'm consistently impressed by the level of quality that they're able to get to the visuals in basically anything Star Wars, really, with the exception of that one like Resistance cartoon that looked really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge positive for me. So yeah, I think I'm landing around a 7. At a 7.5 is where I'm going with this.
Okay.
I think if those middle episodes had been better, and if that Jack Black Lizzo episode had been non-existent, I think this could have very easily bumped up to an 8 or even a 9.
I can agree with that.
If they had spent more time servicing the overarching story as opposed to just like kind of messing around.
Side nonsense. Yeah, I'm with you.
But I still enjoyed my time with it, so I think it's a 7.5.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's fair. For me, it's a 7.5. For you, we're close. We're close to that.
Very close.
And Steph says Jack Black is our modern Jar Jar Binks. Oh no.
No, he's not that bad. Come on, I love Jack Black. Don't do my boy like that.
Me, son of Jack Black.
God, he would do it too. I bet he's got a great Jar Jar voice.
I can believe it. I can believe it. But yeah, hey, so that would conclude it for us right now, guys. And I want to give love to the chat. I appreciate all of you, friends and buddies and associates and whomever you are. We appreciate you guys coming through and showing us love. I mean, even going off topic, from gaming to this. I know sometimes for a gaming crowd, that's tough for people to do because they just want to hear about games. So if you did check out, I understand. But if you stayed, much love and respect to you for that. And because we're going to wrap it up now and get on out of here. But if you haven't, again, hit the like and subscribe. And yeah, so Danny, man, good show, good talk.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, brother. Could you tell the folks where they can find you and what you'll be up to for the rest of the week?
Absolutely. So this week I'm hoping to put out my Shazam 2 review. It's a little bit late, but I got really busy with work and just sort of getting things settled for the podcast here. But I'm pretty excited about it. I filmed it last night, so just got to edit it and put it up. So it should be out at some point this week, and you can find that over at my channel, which is just Daniel McG. That's Daniel MCG, or you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J McG, where I will announce when that video is going live, as well as just tweeting all kinds of dumb nonsense, because that seems to be my brand these days. But yeah, I'd love to see you in either of those locations, so please stop by.
Yeah, and if you all didn't know, I have in our what's the word I'm looking for here, in the description, I have not only Danny's, but I have mine as well as Kia Santi's Twitter links that you can click right on and go to them and subscribe if you haven't followed them rather on there. And this is Danny's. There should be a link to his channel right there on YouTube, so you can go there to that. As for me, tonight I have to go to work, so I'm going to get out here, but I'm going to play you some Ghostwire. Absolutely. Time to go make the ends meet. I'm going to be playing some Ghostwire probably tomorrow. I'm going to see how that feels all around and everything like that. Probably get a good 3 or 4 hours into that. And of course, tomorrow also we have the Xbox Infinite podcast with myself, Risky for the Biscuit, Jedi Knight Peter, and Doom Cutie. So, and
I'll be watching it from work, unfortunately, but
yeah, well, you'll be there at least. So you all come by for that as well. We'll have a special guest, Special Nick, and if you all don't know who that is, he's one of the co-hosts, one of the hosts of rather Xbox Era podcast. So yeah, come by and check us out. It should be a real good discussion. And he's an insider, so we might get some insider knowledge, y'all. You know I'm gonna push for it.
True.
Yeah. And of course you guys can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. My link is, like I said, our links are in the description, but most of you all, I believe, follow me already anyway. And much love to you guys. We're gonna get out of here. And you know what? I'm gonna try this out. So you all, I'm gonna if you like this, give me a smile or something in the chat. If you find it cheesy, give me a tomato.
Yeah, if you don't like it, give me a smile, because I'll be laughing.
So this is I'm trying to work on a sign off, if you will, for the end of the show. And I'm like, in a world. So I'm purposely gonna do the in a world movie thing.
Okay.
So here we go. In a world where you can choose to be anything you want to be, choose to be kind to each other. Talk to you later, folks.
I don't hate it. I like it, actually.
It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it's not bad.
I didn't want to go too Colt Eastwoodish with it, but yeah, I made Steph.
It's brief.
I made
it's
Steph
nice.
cry. Steph cried, though.
Yeah, well, Steph was already crying. He's a sensitive baby boy.
He's crying because of that season of Mandalorian. That's all.
Yeah, that'll do it too.
Yeah. See, Shooter liked it. Yeah, Steph throwing tomatoes at me.
He's throwing at me for calling him sensitive.
Yeah, but I'll try to work on that and try to see if I can deliver it better. But anyway, thank you guys, and we're gonna get out of here. This has been The Fix. Later, guys.